All right, what is up, gentlemen? Chris back again with the second episode of our Biology is the Secret series. In this episode today, what I'm going to be talking about with you very specifically is gut health optimization, why it's so important, and how to do it. Again, our goal in this series is to understand our biology so we can leverage it to achieve better results and also do it in a shorter period of time, right? So if we look at these before and after pictures, right? Is it possible for you to get to this level of leanness? Okay. Yeah, technically it's possible. Okay. Is it possible for you to develop your jawline the same way that I did without, again, having perfectly optimized gut health? Yes, sure. It's possible. But the process is going to be significantly longer. It's going to be significantly harder and more grueling. And the likelihood that you give up on your goal and quit because you are fatigued, have low motivation or drive, all of those increase because your gut plays a massive role in your drive, in your motivation, in your energy levels. All right. And honestly, I would be willing to bet that you probably can't really get this lean. Okay. Because if your gut's super backed up and inflamed, this level of leanness truly is just not going to show. All right. So again, that's really what gut health optimization is about. Okay. My results drastically sped up when I improved my gut health, right? We removed some friction and some barriers, and we got to the goal a lot faster and with a lot less effort. Okay. And that's what you're pursuing as well. So why is this? Right? All right. What I want you to do is I want you to think of yourself as a big ass battery. Okay. Because you basically are one. All right. And that battery, of course, has a limited charge. We can't charge past 100%. So you go sleepy poo at night, you wake up in the morning with, we'll say, 100% charge if you slept well. Now remember, you have biological systems that are running subconsciously, and they are always running in the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to split these two main systems into what I'm going to call functions. All right. We have our survival functions, and then we have our performance functions. Okay. And again, these are running in the background subconsciously. Okay. So some example of our survival functions is going to be your essential systems. Okay. Your heart beating, you taking breaths, your body regulating its temperature. All of these go on subconsciously. And let's say those survival systems, they take up about 30% of that 100% charge. Right now, we also have our gut function. This is what we're talking about today. This is your digestion. This is your nutrient absorption. Okay, remember, nutrient absorption is how well your body actually processes and absorbs the things that you eat. All right, so even if you're hitting ample amounts of protein, if your body doesn't fully absorb that protein, then it does you no good. All right, then you have your immune system, your immune response, and inflammation management. Keep that in mind. All right, and then we have the last 50% going to our cognitive function, our ability to think clearly, not have brain fog, our emotional stability. All right, being able to regulate ourselves. Holy shit. All right, and then performance. All right, being able to build muscle, train effectively, hormones, all of that kind of stuff. All right, when you go into the gym, how much energy you actually have to put towards building muscle and doing the stimulus that you need in order to, again, see those benefits, see those gains. All right. Now, if your gut is inflamed due to a poor diet, those numbers are going to change accordingly. All right. So again, if you eat a whole bunch of food that causes your gut to become inflamed, and we're going to dive into what those are here in a minute, what's going to happen is your body is going to perceive those foods as a threat, right? Because that's what our biology does. And it's going to say, we need to remove these foods in order to optimize our survival. We need to push this out. We need to fire up a immune response to push this food out, to push out this threat as quickly as possible. And we're going to have to digest that food, right? So we're going to have to slow it down. We're going to have to make sure we're not absorbing anything that's going to cause, a problem for us. And so again, our digestion slows down, our immune response kicks in. And now instead of us putting 15% of that energy towards, digestion, we're now using 30% of our energy. All right. If instead of using 5% of our energy to push out inflammation when it comes, now we are using 20%, right? Which means that original 50% that we had available for our cognitive function or the ability to build muscle, train effectively, that 50% gets reduced down to 20%, right? This is where brain fog comes in. Now you're tired at the end of the day, right? You get this kind of disassociative feeling when you're at the gym at the end of the day, right? If you ever felt that before. Overall, you go in, you just don't get as much of a pump, right? And even when you do have that workout, you're not able to build more muscle, right? It's not effective because your body is using that energy elsewhere, taking care of your gut problems as opposed to building, muscle, right? So I hope that makes sense. Now, What you need to understand again is that your subconscious biology will always pick survival over growth and performance. Again, because the way we are wired, which is to survive, not to thrive, the body is always going to pick survival. That is why when you eat foods that inflame you, right, the body is going to send its resources to push out that inflammation as opposed to sending resources to build muscle. All right. So what our goal is we must create the best internal environment for growth by feeding our body's inputs that it recognizes as safe on a biological level. All right. So what makes an input actually safe is the logical next question. All right. Now the body, what it's going to do is it's going to follow these 5 rules to classify if a food is actually truly safe. Okay. The first one is going to be, do I recognize this food? Okay, then it's going to move into, can I break this down effectively? Can it then be absorbed efficiently? Can I remove this with minimal immune activity? And can I use this for energy without stress signals? So just for an example, okay, the way that I like to think about this, right? If you are consuming a food that we evolutionized eating, then it's going to answer yes to all of those questions. All right, let's use fruit for an example. You've been eating fruit for 2,000 years, right? So obviously your body is going to recognize it. It's going to be able to break it down extremely effectively. It's going to be able to absorb it extremely efficiently, remove it from your body with minimal immune activity, right? No inflammation needed. And it's going to be able to use that for energy without a stress response, okay? And again, I used this example in the last video, okay? This is the equivalent of, let's pretend we're immortal beings, right? We've been alive for 2,000 years straight. Okay, we're absolutely cooking in life, just living it up 2K years, right? Your buddy comes in that you've known for that 2,000 years into your house, right? You pull up and you're like, yo, what's up, bro? I know you. I trust you. So therefore, I feel safe with you in my home. No biggie, okay? As opposed to you pull up from work, you get into the crib, and there's a random strange dude that you've never met before, right? And he's just sitting there on your couch. He's butt naked, and you're like, yo, I don't know you. Who are you? Why are you butt naked on my couch, right? Immediately in your mind, you're not going to think about it. You're going to think threat. That's a threat. I need to remove this threat. And that's exactly how your biology is going to respond to these specific foods, right? So now let's play away from that example back into actually using real foods. This is the equivalent of, let's say, a bag of Doritos. Okay, you didn't evolutionize eating Doritos, right? We haven't done that for 2,000 years. So when you eat a bag of Doritos, which was, maybe invented 100 years ago tops, I don't know, not a expert on Doritos, to be honest with you, right? But your body's going to say, I don't really recognize this food. I don't know what it is, right? Can I break this down effectively? Well, it has a bunch of, preservatives and additives, whatever else is in a Dorito that gives it its extended shelf life. Your body doesn't, recognize those, and it can't break them down efficiently. Right? It can't absorb them efficiently, and it cannot, therefore remove them with minimal immune activity, right? So this is going to cause a big stress response, right? And the final example I'm going to give you is alcohol, because alcohol actually succeeds in a few of these, but then fails in the latter, right? So, our body does recognize alcohol. It does break it down efficiently, and it absorbs it very, very well. That's why we get pissed drunk when we drink, okay? But it cannot remove this without minimal immune activity, right? It's always going to cause bloating, inflammation. That's why people look watery after they drink. And it certainly cannot, use alcohol for energy without significant stress signals. So again, then we classify alcohol as something that is gut disruptive as opposed to gut supportive. All right. So again, a simple question I want you to ask yourself when you're not sure is, did humans evolutionize while consuming this food? All right, now let's go through a couple examples of supportive foods versus disruptive foods, right? And these are in no specific order, but red meats, okay, beef, lamb, those are going to be foods that we evolutionized eating over thousands of years, gut supportive. Industrial seed oils, sunflower oil, canola oil, cottonseed oil. Body does not know what those are. Those are a new invention as far as your body is concerned. So we don't process that very well. That's going to cause disruption, inflammation in your gut. It's going to take from the energy that you are trying to use to build muscle, lose fat, be effective in the gym, or be effective in whatever body changes that you're trying to make. Okay, fruits, honey, eggs, again, evolutionized over thousands of years eating this, right? So therefore your body recognizes them, absorbs them super efficiently, utilizes them to a very high degree. Ultra processed foods, right? This is something like, again, Doritos, Oreos, Other bullshit like protein bars, you really shouldn't be eating those, right? They are full of xanthan gum, right? You know what that is? Me neither, not actually. I just see it on the back of my package, all right? Ultra processed foods, not good for you, all right? Deep fried food, this really just comes down to the chemistry of the food changing when we deep fry it. So stay away from deep fried foods. High fermentation vegetables. Again, this is counterintuitive to a lot of people. They think, dude, vegetables are good for me, okay? But a vegetable like broccoli is a lot harder for your body to digest, right? High fermentation means it's going to cause more gas, more bloating, more stomach issues, right? Artificial sweeteners, alcohol. Stay away from these things. Consume more of these things. Raw dairy, organic white rice gets the pass. But what I will say about organic white rice specifically is that it's going to be slightly harder for your body to digest. Only slightly so, but again, it passes the vibe check. Just don't overdo it, okay? Eat majority of your carbs coming from fruit, coming from honey, and then, you can throw in a little bit of white rice there because it's really good for restoring muscle glycogen, right? And that's going to help you look a little bit fuller. So a little bit of white rice here and there is fantastic, okay? Now, other examples that I want you to stay away from. Protein bars, again, I mentioned those. Those are a scam. Never buy them, all right? Gluten-heavy processed grains like breads, pastas, pastries, and then protein drinks from the gas station. I've been there, all right? We've all been down bad, and that's fine. I'm not going to shame you, but let's pipe down with the protein drinks from gas station. I know it says 40 G's of protein. You're like, oh my God, 40 grams of protein. Let it go, brother. We can get that in with a steak, and our gut will thank us for it later. All right, so again, all in all, this was a relatively short, simple episode because, well, honestly, regulating your gut health is extremely simple, okay? How do we maintain good gut health? We remove gut-disrupting foods from your diet, and we consume gut-supportive foods to the best of your ability, all right? You're not going to be perfect. You shouldn't expect yourself to be perfect, all right? But you need to do your absolute best, right? I always say aim for 100% of your foods to be whole food diets, okay? Try your absolute best to consume those, right? Because life will then get into the way, and that's going to drop your shooting 100% to maybe 90, 85%, because life is like Victor Wembanyama. You try to shoot, that motherfucker's gonna block it. Your buddy's gonna hit you up and he's gonna say, hey, yo, let's go out, let's get a drink. Your parents are gonna hit you up, your friends are gonna hit you up, let's go get some sushi. And you're gonna be like, all right, I got to. That sounds like a vibe. You should live your life and not be super extremely restrictive, right? But when you are alone, when it is truly just in your hands and you're not gonna be missing out on a social event or an opportunity to live your life to the fullest, then consume the correct foods, consume whole foods, right? These things right here on this left side, red meats, fruits, honey, eggs, raw dairy, organic white rice, all right? And if we can do this effectively, all right, what this is going to lead to for you is more stable energy throughout the day, a better mood, calmer baseline state, better focus, improved sleep quality, much improved pumps in the gym, a leaner physique without actually having to reduce your body fat. Again, you know what I'm saying? If we look at this photo right here, this is not going to be possible without fixing your gut health, right? That's going to get rid of inflammation. Those bottom 4 abs that makes it look like I have a sick 8-pack, not going to happen again if we don't reduce our inflammation. All right. And then it's going to help with more aesthetic things that are overall just going to make you a more attractive human being as well. Okay. Biology, optimizing that, it's all about being healthier, because what makes somebody more attractive is that they are actually just healthier. Okay, that's how we have evolutionized over time to pick the healthiest mates. Certain things that we find attractive, like clear skin, white teeth, denser facial hair, posture. These are indications of good health, right? And again, improving your gut health is going to aid in some of that. So clearer skin, better breath, and the ability to build muscle and lose fat. Now, one more thing that I want to mention, because I thought about it and then I didn't say it, right? Which is stupid. If you do go out and you eat with your friends and you have a nasty little meal, but it's delicious, right? You go eat some sushi, you get a little poke bowl, whatever your heart desires, and you're like, damn, that was maybe not the best thing for my gut health, okay? A very quick, easy thing that you can do, that I do for myself and that I have all my clients do. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me take these regularly. Okay, purchase a ginger shot. You can go get them from most QTs, will have them if they're in stock. You can get them from Target, you can get them from Sprouts, Whole Foods. If you get yourself a shot of ginger, what that's gonna do is that's going to aid in the digestive process, right? If you can take one before or after, ideally both, then you're gonna be in a really, really good place to properly digest that food and push out that inflammation. Now, what I want you to do after you eat that meal, I want you to follow that up with some water, squeeze a full lemon into it, put a pink Himalayan salt, a couple twists of that in there with some honey, okay? And while you are drinking that drink, go for a walk, bust a little shimmy in your kitchen, right? Do something that's gonna get your body moving, because again, this is gonna speed up your digestion, right? If you can do that very, very simple process, take a ginger shot, drink the lemon water drink, and go for a walk, right? You're going to take something that could take you, 72 hours, 3-4 days, whatever, down to something you can recover very, very quickly. And I'm talking, 12 to 24 hours to where your body will be able to, pass through that digestion, and you'll be in a much better place. All right. So again, that is episode number 2, right? Very, very simple. Gut health is easy stuff, but it makes an absolute huge difference. If you're not doing this and taking it seriously, you're missing out on gains. And the craziest thing is that you will feel infinitely better. You really will not want to go back to eating gas station glizzies and Taco Bell when you follow a diet, right? Because this is what we're biologically hardwired to consume, and it's going to make you feel alive, right? Because those foods themselves are alive, right? And that's an entirely different rant I'm not going to get into right now, right? But if you do have any more questions about this, you need some help, or just want more details, please send me a DM on Instagram. I answer all my DMs. I get 8,000 freaking DMs a day from people being like, can I be your appointment setter? Can I answer my DMs from you? I'll never do that shit. So send me a DM, let me answer it. We can have a conversation one-on-one. Or if you would like to work with me one-on-one to get into the best shape of your life, become a more attractive individual facially and in the physique, then please book a call with me in the description below so I can help you out with that process. All right, look forward to speaking to anybody. Episode 3 will be cranked out ASAP, and I'm sure we'll be able to lock in soon.